Okay, we're streaming live now.
Okay, a motion to open the Board of Selectmen meeting for Wednesday, August 3rd, 2022 at 6:30 PM.
I'll second that.
Roll call vote.
Josh Antrim, aye.
Gene Canty, aye. We are open. All right, do we have any opening comments from the selectmen?
I can read the prescribed ones, Gene, if you'd like.
Please.
All right. Well, first thing I'll say is Tony told me that Mark Cullinan will not be joining us today. Okay, so opening comments. 2022 resident parking stickers are still available for purchase at nahant.org. Stickers are $10 each. All bills must be paid to the town and a census completed. The compost area is open on Wednesday and Saturday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. A 2022 resident sticker is required. Please visit nahant.org for a list of accepted material. Recycling for metal, white goods, TVs, computers is the last Saturday of each month from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. noon. Behind the DPW on Flash Road, 2022 resident stickers are required. Visit nahant.org for more information and required fees. The next metal white goods recycling day is Saturday, August 27th. Farmers Market 2022 season. Saturdays on August 20th and September 17th and October 15th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Flash Road Park. Visit the Farmers Market page at nahant.org for vendor application, volunteer information, and updates, or email ktaylor@nahant.org for more information. Also, the planning board has 2 vacancies for alternate members. The town is accepting letters of interest until August 12th, 2022, and those can be sent to ktaylor@nahant.org. Full description of the duties can be found on the planning board page on the nahant.org website. There's a job opening for the position of town treasurer collector. Full job description on the employment page at nahant.org. Send cover letter and resume to ktaylor@nahant.org. We'll be accepting resumes until August 12th, 2022. I'd just like to add that our current treasurer collector, Brendan Carit, has accepted a great opportunity with another town. We're all sad to see Brendan go, but wish him well in the future. Anyone has had the opportunity to interact with Brendan, such a pleasant guy. He'll be missed by all of us. And he's been a great asset to the town. So really sorry to see Brendan go, but wish him the very best in the future.
Yeah, I'd like to parrot what you just said. And Tony, what's the date on that for Brendan?
His last day is August 26th.
Okay.
So he's with us for another couple weeks. Gave us, a very healthy notice to give us time to get things ready for a transition. And yeah, I would echo what Josh said there. Brendan was my first hire in the town hall. So he's been with me since I started, and he's been a great, member of the team. And I know it's a tough decision for him, but a great opportunity for him, one that he can't turn down. So, we wish him the best. We're excited for him.
He will be missed.
Definitely.
Just checking, I had to plug into an external speaker here. Sometimes I get feedback with it. Is my audio okay right now?
Yep.
Yes, fine.
Okay, good. Last announcement, the first annual Nahant Firefighters Cornhole Tournament, August 27th, 2022 at Flash Road Park, starting at 12 noon. $100 per team to enter. All proceeds benefit Nahant Fire Department local charitable fund. QR code and registration information can be found on the community calendar at nahant.org. Those are all the announcements I have.
All these and more can obviously appear on the Nahant.org website. But Tony, can we put together a selectmen's team for the cornhole?
Certainly. Certainly, definitely.
Do we get to toss from a little bit closer?
It should be a great day.
Yeah.
I think to that point, I think, last year, the fire department and the police department joined, together and raised a ton of money for kids with cancer, and about like $9,000 they raised with the combined softball game and t-shirt selling. And so, they are, they're continuing this effort of like community engagement and events, and it's great. I love to hear it. I love to see it. So I'm proud of them for putting it together, and I hope a ton of people are able to, get out there and support them and have a fun day with it.
Yeah, this sounds like it'll be a lot of fun too. New business. Tony, you want to mention how difficult it has been to put together the trash rate, how complex it is?
Yeah, so we're actually going to skip over voting the new trash rate. We still have a little bit more work to do with the transition of a software program, correcting or reconciling the correct amount of what accounts fall into what category and what they should be charged. It's like a tedious process of going kind of uncovering where things got changed, and want to make sure they're correct before we establish the rate and send bills out. So I'm sure we'll have it ready for the next Board of Selectmen meeting. But we've been working on it for a few days, well, for a few weeks, but really intense for the last 4 or 5 days. So I'm sure it'll be ready for the next meeting.
Okay, we'll move on to the fee schedule. And I move that the Board of Selectmen vote to approve the fiscal year 23 fee schedule as presented.
Seconded.
Discussion.
So Tony, thanks for sending the spreadsheet summarizing all those fee schedules. I think it was pretty self-explanatory. Looks like the vast majority of the fees remain unchanged, and only the ones in column H, I think it was, have changed.
I can explain those if you want.
Sure, especially since I closed the spreadsheet.
So the police detail rate, we had actually mid-year, the Board of Selectmen approved an administrative fee, which is common for many municipalities. It's a 10% fee that goes on top of any detail that, typically it's for like national grid work or road work, that sort of thing. So we incorporated that into this larger fee schedule. Parking code violations are in line with we had made some changes at a previous town meeting, so
Yeah.
updating the fee schedule to be in line with those changes that were approved at a town meeting. Fire detail rate, we've always actually had that, but one of the part of this project this year was making sure that all of our rates were featured in the fee schedule. Some of them had been missing. So, kind of updating that schedule. We've always had a fire detail rate, but it wasn't specifically called out in the schedule. Smoke detector fees for single and multi-unit dwellings, personal dog kennels, farmer market fees. This is a new fee established with the creation of a farmer's market. And as always, every year, the water and sewer rates as they change. So we will continue. This is it for now. But throughout the year, we'll continue to be looking at all of our fees and potentially suggesting fees to be considered for the upcoming fiscal year. We're looking at a little bit closer at inspectional services fees right now and looking at what other communities do in our surrounding area and, how we could maybe extend our current schedule in that category.
How often do we do these? Annually?
We have to vote on it every year, but a comprehensive review hasn't occurred since I've been town administrator. So since the end of 2018.
Going by memory here, Tony, but I think that was one of your goals for this year, if I recall correctly. Yeah.
Yep. So we're going through, we've typically, the only thing that we're doing different since I've been here is just updating the water sewer rates. So just with the vote you're making today is a lot of like housekeeping cleanup, but also introducing some of the new rates that were voted at town meeting and, incorporating some of the new rates caused by the creation of the farmers market and the new administrative fee for the police department.
And the water and sewer fees, we voted on 2 meetings back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so by and large, not much change to the fees that citizens will be seeing.
No, I think, and I'll just follow that up. We're very mindful about when we're doing this process, we're targeting fees that are going to bring non-Nahant resident money into our revenue stream. So we're looking at fees that, we might be able to bring in some new money without hitting the wallets of our residents. That's our goal. It's not always perfect that way, but those are the things that we're trying to focus on first.
All right. Any further discussion?
Nope.
Roll call vote.
Josh Antrim, aye.
Gene Canty, aye. Moving on to ongoing business. Tony, I'm going to let you take this. This is for your review. This is on the Coyote situation we have in town. And I would just like to preface it by saying that I'm really impressed with the amount of work that's been put into this by you and your team. I know there's a lot of cans and can't do's, but I also know how difficult it is for people to understand what can be done and can't be done. So before we turn it over to you, Josh, you must have something you'd like to add.
No, I know, Tony, and you and I and Mark, we're not Coyote experts, but we're working hard to learn from the experts. And, Tony's done a lot of things to try to educate the public about coyote behaviors, coyote biology. Again, relaying, these messages that come from the coyote experts, but, what is legal, what is not legal, and what we need to do as a community, as a group, to instill the respect and fear that coyotes need to have for human beings. And, we all need to participate in this process. So please listen and try to learn. And obviously we all share compassion for the folks that have lost pets in recent times. We had a small dog of our own that passed away a couple of years ago of natural causes, and that was as sad as things can be, and for me and my family, and so we certainly sympathize with those that have lost pets, but we all need to work together on this. This is not something that's going to be solved by one person or 10 people. This is a community effort, and we need to view it that way. That's all I have.
Thanks, Josh. Tony, I'll let you take it. And hopefully everybody will get an opportunity to see what you reviewed with me the other day. It's very impressive.
Yeah, thank you. I think, I think if it's okay with you, Mr. Chairman and Josh, after I speak, if you want to open it up for discussion or questions from the folks that are on the meeting before we carry on with the other items on the agenda, so questions or comments specific to Coyotes, I'd be happy to try to answer that stuff too. But yeah, I'd like to kind of go over what the town has done, what we're trying to do, what we've heard from Mass Wildlife, showed our website, and continue to relay the information that we're getting from Mass Wildlife. As you mentioned, Josh, myself, the selectmen, we are not experts when it comes to coyotes, and we have never claimed to be. So it's important that folks understand, that we are working as hard as we can on your behalf to consult with the experts, and that we're not ignoring this issue. We're doing everything we can. And I want to try to explain why, I think that there's a feeling out there that we may not be doing everything we can. And I'd like to kind of try to explain why we might not be doing something that is an option to us. And I would just say that the community meeting we had the other day with Mass Wildlife, Dave Waddles, was he did such an excellent job from soup to nuts explaining everything you would need to know when it comes to coyotes. And I know that it's common nowadays for people to want a quick answer and a quick solution, but this topic is not a simple one. It's not an easy one to explain. You really need to kind of understand the legal impediments, the practical impediments, the biology of a coyote, the tendencies of coyotes, to fully understand the situation that we're in and why it's not so simple. And Dave did such a great job at that community meeting. So, we have the link to that meeting is on our website. We will be sending a postcard out to every household in Nahant that will have a QR code on it that you can scan and go right to the video. It is fairly long. His presentation is 30 to 45 minutes, and then there's a lot of Q&A after that. So again, I really encourage folks to watch that video. So I'm going to share my screen and go to the website and kind of show some of the things that we've done. Are you looking at the home screen of Nahant.org? So you can either click on the picture of the coyote in the bottom right. You can go over to the left and here, let me Right here on the left side, there's a link for Coyote information as well. Of course, you can always just search up in the search bar. You can always type Coyote and that would bring you to the same page. So as I mentioned on this page, one of the things that we've created, which is the result of interaction and communication with the public, is a Coyote response plan. Essentially, this chart breaks down the different types of behaviors or encounters that one might have with a coyote. It classifies them into categories. It says what the resident should do, how the town will respond, and if the animal control officer will create a report or not related to that event. For many just simple sightings or encounters may not lead to significant reaction from the town. Aggressive behaviors certainly do. So this is a ton of information here. The important thing I would call out from this chart is the in an aggressive behavior situation, if a coyote attacks a pup that is on a leash under the control of a human within 3 to 5 feet of that human, or God forbid, attacks a human itself or threatens a human, call Nahant Police Department immediately. If you call 911, there's an extra 30 seconds. Calling 581-1212 eliminates that dispatching process that adds time. That's the direct line of the police department. And in that situation, the police will respond. On just a sighting or an encounter, a non-aggressive, you don't need to call the police station immediately, but certainly in a scenario where they're acting aggressively, call them immediately. That is the fastest way that we could potentially respond to an habituated coyote, and you never know what the situation might be where we could potentially take that animal. Without that immediate call, it's almost impossible for the town to find that specific problem coyote, which doesn't eliminate our options. It just makes it becomes more difficult, and then a lot of those practical problems come up, and I'll explain that here as I scroll down. So in an aggressive situation, please call the police department immediately. Right below that is a link to the community meeting with Dave Waddles. Again, I can't stress.
Tony,
Yeah.
Tony, can I interrupt for 1 second? Going
Sure.
back to the aggressiveness of these coyotes, we've had, as you know, several instances of major aggression where neither of them was called into the police department. And that doesn't help us, and it doesn't help the resident, and it doesn't help us going forward in the future. So it's really important that we do just that you make sure you contact the police. And that helps to build a map of where these attacks are taking place as well.
Yeah. Of the recent attacks on pets, none of them were called in immediately. Not one. Some of them were called in days later or the next day, but most of them, we got wind of it, and our animal control officer reached out to those people and filled out a report. But so in some of those cases, not only wasn't was it not immediate, but it never actually was reported to the town at all. So, you know, and reporting it, writing it, you know, putting it on social media isn't a report to the town. You know, we might see it, but we may not, you know, certainly that's not an immediate way to tell us, but it's also not a guaranteed way to tell us. So either emailing the animal control officer or contacting the police department, and they will let the animal control officer know, and we will follow up with you, you know, within a couple days on a non-aggressive behavior to document, you know, the type of the event, if any hazing was attempted, where it occurred, at what time, and then that data we share with Mass Wildlife and we're keeping track of on our side. Now, we just created a new form for the animal control officer to fill out because prior to this year, we never had an attack on a pet while on a leash. Everything prior to this year was anything that was reported to the town was not on a leash. Any pet that was taken was not on a leash. So even the first one that occurred this year, it never really was reported to us. It wasn't until on Willow Road, we had a pet was taken off of the leash. It was reported to us either hours later or the next day. And that is our first, you know, new style of report. So we're building up a new database, I guess, of information, and we're sharing that with Mass Wildlife. And further, when we talk to Mass Wildlife, they never get reported. They rarely ever hear, not just Nahant, but from any community. So now we actually created a form. We asked Mass Wildlife, what information would you want from us? What data is important to you? We, you know, added that onto the form, and now we fill that out and we share it with them and also keep track of it ourselves. So that data is going to help us as we move forward. So it's important to let us know is the bottom line on that. Again, please watch this video. He did such a good job on this. Ton of information there. There's a quick FAQ sheet here on at this link. Frequently asked questions that, again, we shared this with Mass Wildlife. Do you see it on the screen?
Yep.
So we shared this with Mass Wildlife. They edited it. They made edits to it, signed off on it, that the information is accurate. But now not every piece of information is on here. These are just frequently asked questions. So, but again, another good source of information there. So going back to the home page, to the page. Here we have a link for a problem animal control agent, which you as a resident have the ability to call and hire one on your own if you have a problem animal on your property. We've made a ton of calls. I know, Josh, you've made a couple calls. I've made a couple calls. I know our animal control officer has called almost everyone on that list. And to be honest, a lot of the PACs do not engage in coyote response because of the ineffectiveness of the traps that are allowed. They just don't even get involved in it. So we're still kind of working our way through that. But again, as I'll explain as we get below here, it's not really a solution for us. All this information here was provided to us from Mass Wildlife. This talks about the many reasons why Nahant cannot control the population of coyotes. It talks about hunting, how hunting isn't allowed in Nahant because of state regulations layered on top of Nahant bylaws. there's basically no place in town where you are able to discharge a firearm. Trapping, this paragraph talks about how ineffective the legal traps are, and how the practical impediment of trapping is an issue, because the act of baiting actually can create more problem animals. In conversations with Dave, and Josh, I think you were part of one of these conversations. The trapping season in the last decade in all of Massachusetts using these traps has only produced 3 successful trapped coyotes in all of Massachusetts. That's how ineffective these traps are. And essentially, Dave actually suggested that the 1996 referendum that eliminated a lot of those other types of traps, could be a contributing factor to why we have so many coyotes today. So again, trapping is legal, is something that we, there is a trapping season. It is something that we could do. We could take advantage of it in response to the problem animal coyote, the problem coyotes that we have experienced in Nahant, but they're so ineffective and could lead to creating more problem animals that we're not considering it a solution at this moment. Relocation is not an option. It here on the website talks about how you cannot relocate an animal. Essentially, if you trap it, you have to kill it. You cannot take a problem animal and bring it somewhere else. And I keep mentioning problem animal. Outside of a hunting season and outside of a trapping season, the only time you're allowed to take a coyote is to remove a problem coyote. So in the last, we've received a letter recently, yesterday or the day before. There's a petition being signed online saying that because we have experienced a problem animal, that the town has the authority to take the coyote by means of shooting it. The town, a police officer, other residents do not have the authority to do that. Our police station, our police department has the authority to do that. However, 2 things to keep in mind, and one of them overlaps with trapping, is you're only given that authority to attempt to take the problem coyote that caused the issue. Obviously, if we're coming back later, we don't know if we caught or shot the right coyote. So in speaking with Dave Waddles, I asked him, I said, well, so how does that work? If you don't know the coyote that took the pet off of a leash, how do you know you got the right one? And the way he put it to me was, essentially, it's a process of elimination. If you take a coyote, either by shooting it or trapping it, and no other incident occurs, you got the right one. If another incident occurs, you try to take another. So it does not authorize us to wipe out the entire coyote population in Nahant. I want to be very clear about that. It does not authorize us to wipe out the entire population of coyotes in Nahant. It would only authorize us to attempt to take the problem animal. So because trapping has those practical impediments of being ineffective and potentially creating more problem animals, and because our police department is not going to discharge a firearm unless it's absolutely safe to do so, both of those options really aren't solutions either. Unfortunately, you know, our police station is authorized to take a coyote if it is safe to do so, which means in the daytime when they can see everything behind what they're shooting at and that nothing is behind it. So very rarely in Nahant are you going to be in that position. Again, all this is explained on the website. If you continue to scroll down, we have tips here about how to prevent conflicts, which this is the crux of any solution, regardless of whether we've attempted to shoot or trap. The 90% of the solution is on the individuals avoiding conflicts by eliminating human associated food sources, by hazing coyotes, and by protecting their pets. We also have a hotspot map here of areas where we've gotten a lot of reports of coyote activity. Actually, you know, the back rocks area down by Marginal Road has quieted down a lot. That was a hot spot about a month ago, and we really haven't had any reports from that area recently. The most recently, Bass Point has been an area of sightings or aggressive behavior, but the Nahant's so small and the coyotes move so fast that they actually can pretty much travel throughout the town. So you can't, there's really no place you can let your guard down, but we're trying to identify hotspot areas. And then in these areas around town, we created a, just pulling up the picture. One moment, please.
We there?
Yep, hold on a second. We created this sign. This is posted in those hotspots around town that try to warn residents that it might be on a walk with a dog or without a pet, with a pet or without a pet, they should be on high alert. It's a coyote area. These are around town. If you scan that QR code, it'll bring you to the Nahant.org website. We've also purchased air horns and whistles. Those are available for pickup at the town hall, the library, and the police station. We ordered a decent amount, but they are limited. Very cheap though, online, $3 to $5 for a pocket-sized air horn. And you can get 10 whistles for like a couple dollars. So very cheap. You can order them right online yourself, but they are available in the town hall as well. As I mentioned, our postcards going out in the next week or two. Dave sent me a text tonight that he was reviewing it and making final edits before we can get it off to the printer. And then lastly, I'll say that I talk about what those legal impediments are and why they're challenging. I'm speaking with Representative Capano, Senator Crichton, and Dave Waddles from Mass Wildlife next week. Rep. Capano joined us in that community meeting. He's very aware of the situation that we're dealing with here, and we're going to try to move that discussion forward on potential legislation that would allow for other solutions that currently are outlawed. I don't know how that conversation is going to go. I can tell you that that's a long-term play. The legislative calendar this session ends in the fall this year and then starts new in January next year. So this would be to file something for in a timely manner in January. And then it's a 2-year legislative cycle. And it's, any legislative solution is going to be a tough battle. There is a ton of support in, animal rights groups against the use of any other type of traps. And then obviously, it's not going to be, I don't think it's possible that we would ever even change the setbacks as to how far you can shoot, in relation to a residential, a structure or a road. So that won't change. But we're going to try, and, maybe in a community like ours, dealing with a situation like ours, we could move legislation that could potentially authorize a PAC to use other types of traps that are humane but don't come with the negative side effects of the current traps, like that, the side effects of baiting, essentially. So I know there's a lot more that we've been doing. I think I tried to cover most of it, but I'll leave it at that for now. Any comments or questions, and then I can go to the public.
Well, if I could, I think folks can clearly see the frustration in what you're trying to do, what you're attempting to do, what we're attempting to do, I should say. But most of the effort goes on your part. But, I said it at the beginning, I've said it before, the cans and can't do's don't balance. The cans, Tony just laid out everything you could want to lay or need to lay out in order to thwart the attacks by these animals. But the can't do's are the ones that are frustrating, and he just went through all of that with you too. So I guess I would implore your total understanding in this. I know it's difficult. I know everybody's got their different views on it, but we are trying. We're trying to get this handled. Josh?
I'd just like to reiterate a couple of the points that have been made already. First and foremost, if you encounter an aggressive coyote, as defined on the spreadsheet that Tony just shared, call the Nahant Police Department immediately, not tomorrow, not in an hour. Call them immediately. We need to have, immediate response for these things. The police are there 24/7. Make that call. Tony talked about an attempt for legislative change. There needs to be data to support such a change. It doesn't do any good to go to the legislature and say, well, there were a bunch of posts on Facebook. We need to be able to say, here's the population of our town. Here are the incidences we've had. Here are the dates. Here's exactly what happened. Report it to the police immediately. Secondly, for all the pet owners, you have to have your pet on the leash right next to you, within a few feet of you. They're obviously not afraid of dogs, especially small dogs. You have to be right next to your dog. I know it's a pain in the neck. As a dog owner, it's raining, it's 11 o'clock at night. You got to take your dog out to do business. I would just let her out the door and, keep an eye on her. You can't do it. The coyotes don't know 1 yard from another. A 3-foot fence to a coyote is like us stepping up a curb. If you want to keep your pet safe, you got to keep it right with you. And thirdly, as Tony mentioned, the police are authorized to take a coyote, but only under a completely safe situation. And And again, I'd encourage folks to listen to Dave Waddles, the Mass Wildlife Authority presentation that is linked on the webpage. You know, it's not the news I think a lot of people want to hear, but you know, one of the statistics that stuck with me was this statistic he gave about South Carolina, where hunting is allowed, and 250,000 coyotes a year are killed, and it hasn't even moved the needle on the coyote population. They're a resourceful and reproductive species, and unfortunately, I think the fact of the matter is they're here to stay. We as a community can protect ourselves and our pets by doing everything we can as individuals, armed with the hazing tools that the town is supplying to you, to instill a fear and a respect for humans. That is the best thing we can do as a community for the safety of our pets. So please, you know, do whatever you can to help out your fellow citizens of Nahant. Thanks.
Yeah, and sorry, Josh, just to follow up on what you just said at the end there. You know, I see what is being said on social media, and you have folks who are very much against, you know, they don't want coyotes in the town. They want to, you know, kill them and get rid of them. And you have folks who are, you know, don't want to see the coyotes get hurt. They don't want to interfere with the coyotes, you know, their way of life. Hazing coyotes is the answer for both groups, for both of those groups. If you don't want to see coyotes get hurt, haze them. You're not hurting them. You're just teaching them to avoid people. If you don't want negative interaction with humans or pets, haze coyotes. They will learn to avoid us. It's a, you know, and it's every single time. I can't tell you how many times I hear from people, they say, oh yeah, I saw the coyote walk down the street and, you know, it didn't care for me. I didn't care for it. It walked right by. Wrong. Yell at it, clap at it, scream at it, even if it's not paying attention to you. Do that for yourself. Do that for your neighbor. We have to be the alpha in that equation, and it's the, you know, even if we didn't have the legal impediments of hunting or the practical impediments of the traps that are legal, hazing coyotes would still be the bulk of that solution before and after either of those attempts. So just, you know, I know it's not, I know the search, it seems like a lot of folks want the town to have a solution that's going to solve this problem for them, but it's just not there for us. It comes down to all of us as a community doing the right thing. So, all right. So,
Can I just add one more thing, Tony? Sorry, but
sure.
Another thing that really struck me in Dave Waddles' presentation was the question of their lifespan. In the wild, a lifespan of 3 or 4 years. And what really struck me is that means that most, if not all, of the coyotes in Nahant, this is the only place they've ever known. They don't know, you know, there's a vast wilderness in Western Massachusetts or Maine. Nahant is the only home they've ever known, and they're just as used to seeing people and cars as you and I. And if we don't collectively participate in this hazing effort and make them feel uncomfortable, why would they be afraid? This is the only place they've ever known. This is their normal. So we need to make it uncomfortable, as you put it, Tony, to help their neighbors. And, regardless, and I think that was an excellent point about regardless of where you stand on whether coyotes should be killed or not killed, everyone needs to work together in solving this solution. There's no quick fix that can come from the town of Nahant, unfortunately. Otherwise, we would have done that. It's going to be a community effort.
Okay, Tony, do you want to open that up? Thank you, Josh.
Yes. Brendan, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Yep. Brendan Bronco Homestead, 2 Summer Street. I was asking if the town of Nahant could contact I can't pronounce the name, but it's Aquidneck Island, Rhode Island, Aquidneck. I read an article a while that they've also experienced coyote problems over the years and have spent years studying and exploring various mitigation strategies. Since we're kind of trying to figure out how best processes going forward, maybe we should contact their town and find out what worked for them and maybe what didn't work and maybe what cost implications are for different type of ecological studies, just to get a sense of what tools might be out there they experienced, so that we maybe have a better idea as to what we could utilize going forward.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I'll reach out to anyone and everyone that could potentially, provide us some help in this situation. My guess is it won't be a perfect overlap, because Rhode Island likely has different laws and legal impediments that we do. But yeah, of course, I'll save that your message in the chat and we'll reach out.
Okay, yeah, because they're about 3 square miles and they have farms on their island, so like they're a little bit larger than us, but they, in terms of a small ecology, small land size surrounded by water, we may be able to gain some knowledge from them.
Yeah, so again, happy to reach out to them based on what you just said there. I bet you their ability to hunt in their town is something that we don't have the ability to do because we're so dense compared to like a farm type community. But I'll definitely reach out to them. There may be hazing techniques or other tips or, maybe something we haven't thought about that we could introduce here.
Yeah, the other thing I know was wondering about, the use of camera traps, not necessarily just randomly, but, more part of an ecological study to get a sense of, do we have multiple dens across the island, or if there's, a better gauge on the food sources they might have available.
Thanks for asking that. That was somewhat discussed with Dave when we had the community meeting, and, we followed up with Dave after that, and again, I'm not the expert on this and try to relay the information that I got from him, but the sense I got from him was that, the understanding the amount of dens or the amount of coyotes doesn't really make a difference as to solving the problem that's in front of us. It is good data to understand and could help us in, our attempt for legislative solutions. But as far as, the regulations or the legal impediments and the practical impediments that we're facing don't get any relief from the number of coyotes in our town. Does that make sense? It wouldn't matter if we had 100 or if we had 10, the same impediments are in front of us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you for all your work on this and the other town employees.
Hey,
Thank you.
Brian, what was the name of that aqueduct?
Aquidneck Island, Rhode Island. Aquidneck.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay. Linda? I'm asking you to unmute. There you go.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Yeah, first of all, I'd like to apologize for eating on this. I thought I was hidden. And thank you, Cora Long, for calling me and telling me that I was the village idiot. So, sorry. So I'd like to ask you, thank you for all you're doing. I'm trying to keep my Italian temper down. I'm wondering, did you not see the letter from Dave Waddles that was dated July 28th? And a copy was sent to you, Tony, and to Vivian Gear, who lost her pet on Willow Road. One of the reasons why people don't call the police right away is they're dealing with the loss of a pet. They're crying, or maybe if the pet is injured, they're taking it to a hospital. The last thing they're thinking about is to call and report to people that are not really doing anything about it anyway. Sorry. But
I don't think that's a fair statement.
Well, if you're crying, if you lose a pet and you're crying, you're not thinking
No,
about
not
calling the
that-
police.
Not that
You're thinking
part.
about taking care of the pet.
Not that part. I understand that. That.
Well, I'm asking you about the letter from
Yeah, I
Dave
received it.
Waddles.
I received it.
And he's given us permission to kill the coyotes.
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, my understanding with Dave, that outside of hunting or trapping seasons, you would only get the authority to take a problem animal if the problem animal exists, right? It does
He
not.
doesn't, he says in the letter, he says that you can't identify the problem animal,
Yep.
so go after the animals.
No, he doesn't say animals. He says you do not need to positively identify that problem animal after the fact. You have the authority to take. However, it's not the authority to take the entire population. It becomes a process of elimination. So whether you do it by trapping or shooting, you take an animal, and then if the issues no longer occur, you got the right one. If the issue occurs again, you go and try and take another animal. That's how it works. Now, as I mentioned earlier, those two options of trapping or shooting, there are practical impediments to the effectiveness of that. Our police department are not going to shoot unless it's safe to do so. And you can imagine, you don't need me to explain how limited that potential scenario is going to be.
But they could go into their dens. Their dens aren't near people.
Yeah, we don't know where their dens are. And
We
don't know
do.
where they're-
We do know where the dens are. We
Yeah,
have
but we don't-
cameras all over town. And
But no,
you have,
Linda,
Mhm. Yeah,
they're only going to shoot if it's safe to do so. Let me just leave it at that. I don't know. I can't answer you right now in this conversation if every den is in a safe location for us to go and try and take an animal. I don't know, but 100% they will not shoot unless it's safe to do so. If they are presented if a coyote is presented to them and it is safe to take the animal, they have the authority to do it. They do. And they know that, and that's not new information. Dave explained that to me and Vivian in an email months prior to the one that you mentioned. And he explained the practical impediments to that authority. So
And that's
yes,
how, and that's how it should be.
Yeah, so yes, we have the authority to do so. And yes, we will take an animal if it's safe to do so.
well, by the time the coyote comes and gets a dog, which I didn't report it, but it happened to us on Willow Road on Saturday night. it wasn't my dog, thank God, but it was the dog next door. So I didn't call, it wasn't my dog. But the coyote runs off. I mean, before you can dial 581, it is gone. So, you know, what do you do about that? And
Linda, even if a police officer was standing right next to you having a conversation, he's not gonna unload his gun on Willow Road.
no, of
not gonna
course not.
happen.
They need to go to the dens where there aren't people.
But yeah, so if a situation presents itself where it's safe to shoot, they have the authority to do so.
All right, you know what? I'm really banging my head against the wall here. I don't feel safe in this town. I don't feel safe with my dog. And there are over 550 other citizens who feel the same way. They are not safe. People don't want to walk down the street. The elderly don't want to walk down the street. I had women here last night to play cards. They were afraid to walk home in the dark. You know, it's I moved here because it was the safest town in Massachusetts, and I've always felt safe here, and I don't feel safe at all anymore. And we have quite a voting bloc that wants to get rid of these coyotes. And I know that a new pack will come in. And when the new pack comes in, then we will haze and we won't feed. But this pack that is here now, it's too late. They're not afraid of us. They were fed, they weren't hazed. You know, I've blown one of those ear horns at them and they look right at me like, you know, really? They don't go away. They're not scared. So, you know, they've been around humans too much.
Hello, this is Gene.
Yes. Hi, Gene.
And hi. I understand where you're coming from. We all do. But at the same time, you can't ignore the fact that this is a universal problem, a regional problem, a state, a city, a town problem. Everybody has this. Everybody.
Yes, Gene, I understand that, but we're a 1.3 mile land mass surrounded by water. They have nowhere else to go. They can travel 10 miles a day, but where are they going to go? Swimming? There are no more.
I completely understand that. And that's why Tony said he's meeting with the state representatives to see if we can get something in front of the legislature that can give us, because of our size, give us some opportunities that maybe others don't have. I don't know if that'll work, but Tony taking that tack.
All right, but you know, I'm still saying that Dave Waddles says right here on his letter, it's okay to shoot them. And if you can't find the problem coyote, you just have to shoot them.
I've read that.
As are we. We are saying the same thing.
And you know what? I don't want to see them gone. The first time I saw a coyote, I talked to it. I mean, I was one of those people. It was beautiful. I told him I loved him. You know, I didn't know what kind of predators they were or are.
Linda, I don't disagree with you. We don't disagree with you.
But you're not doing anything about it, Tony.
Linda, we're not going to shoot unless it's safe to do so.
So go into their dens. People are not in their dens.
Yeah, I can't answer whether or not that is a fact. I can't say that every den is a safe scenario for us to go and shoot.
Oh, go behind my house. There's no one there. They're there.
Okay. And if we, I mean, your backyard is right behind that area.
Yeah, my backyard and then the town land.
I mean, just if you talk through it and you think about it, you're asking me, you're stating that we could go in there and just shoot at a den. We are only going to take a coyote if it is standing still under light and nothing behind it could potentially be hurt.
Okay, so in other words, there's no hope of shooting or getting rid of any of these coyotes, right? So the only way that
I would never put any person at risk to take a coyote.
People are at risk, Tony. They are at risk.
You
Children
understand what
are
I'm
at
saying?
risk. Are we gonna
Linda.
wait until they go after a child?
Linda,
There are no more small animals for them. There are no skunks. There's no raccoons. There's no
Okay.
possum.
okay. I'm polite. I'm trying to work with you. I'm trying to answer your question.
Yep.
I'm just saying, it's very simple. We're not going to shoot unless it's safe to do so. Yes, we have the authority to shoot. Yes, we will shoot if it's safe. We are not going to do that unless it's safe. So I
Okay.
can't tell you that. I just, that's it. That's the,
Okay. I'll just say there are approximately 600 people that feel the same way I do. We're a big voting bloc.
I
That's all.
understand that a lot of people signed the petition.
Yeah, they're
It
scared.
doesn't, yep, and I understand they're scared. I'm scared. We are
You
scared.
don't
We
even, you don't live here.
well, yeah, but I'm still scared for Nahant. We're not ignoring that fear. We're doing what we can within our means. And that petition, shows how many, that's a good data point for me to work with the legislators as to why we need additional solutions. But no matter how many signatures are on that petition, it's not going to authorize me to break the law, or it's certainly not going to put us in give us like the okay to just shoot unless it's safe. You know what I mean?
I'd like to say that, speaking of voting blocks, if I can't do everything I can, or we can't do everything we can to the fullest extent, then yeah, I don't think I should be voted.
I'm sorry.
I said, I don't think I should be voted in if I can't put everything I can into this.
Well, I just think it's up to the town to keep people safe, and that's not happening. And
I
we're
agree.
not safe, and you were saying the dogs need to be on a, 3 or 5 foot leash and right next to the people. They were. So we can't do any better than what we've been doing. And you can't walk down the street
I
with
mean,
your
both-
dog with all
both
that
of those-
paraphernalia.
In those two situations, both were very late at night. When you're out there at night, you got to be even more careful. Coyotes are predator animals.
Yes.
They are actively searching for food,
Yep.
and mostly late at night and in the morning. It could happen in the daytime.
Yep.
And you can't ever really let your guard down. But when you start to understand the biology of them and their behavior, certainly if you're walking your dog out at night, you need to be even more careful. Stay in a lit area. Stay
I
close to
think
your
we know
home.
that, Tony. We know that. We know, and I feel bad that you're in this position, but I also feel bad that we are. We live here. We've always been safe. We're not safe now. We're not safe. And there are almost 600 people that feel the exact same way I do.
I know. And trust me, like I'm not arguing with you, Linda, and I don't take it personal. I feel what you're saying because it comes from fear, and I understand that a lot of people have that fear. And that was expressed a lot to Dave too, that in that community meeting as well. And
Yes.
it's a tough position to be in, to say, I can't solve this problem for you. It's very hard. We're literally doing everything we can. If like I said, if we can take a coyote, we are authorized to do so, and we will. I'm just explaining to you that that's very limited, because there's not a lot of safe places to shoot a gun in Nahant.
Then
that's
shoot a
all.
dart gun, shoot a dart gun and put it down. I mean, there are other ways, I don't know.
Linda,
I want to move. I actually want to move because it's just not safe here.
We don't want that.
Well, I don't want to be unsafe. I don't want my dog to be unsafe.
Unfortunately, as Gene said, you're gonna be hard pressed to find another town that isn't dealing with the same problem.
Yes, I know. My daughter lives in New Hampshire. They have more coyotes than we do. They never see one. There's woods everywhere. There's lots for them to eat. There isn't here. They've wiped us out of all the small animals.
It's a good
Now they're
point.
coming after the small dogs. Pretty soon they'll come after a small kid. They have to eat. There's no food here. And they don't seem to be able to get rabbits. And you know what? There's been a lot of dead rabbits found that aren't, bit or eaten. There was a dead rat. I have a feeling somebody's putting out poison. I don't know that. I don't know that for a fact, but why are these animals dead without it being touched? So if somebody's putting out poison, that's a very bad thing. People are frustrated.
I don't know. I don't know.
Linda,
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to chime in, I understand the fear. I mean, my wife Ellen shares that, she enjoyed walking at Bailey's Hill, doing exercise walks up and down the hill. She's reluctant to do it now. So we understand the fear, she's even afraid to do gardening in our backyard,
Exactly.
after I
Yeah.
chase one. So we understand that, but as Dave Waddle pointed out, they're in every town. Even if we eradicated every coyote in town, which would be very difficult to do, but even if we were successful at doing that, as authorized, as Tony pointed out through the Nahant Police Department, as Dave Waddle said, they'd be back next year. And so I believe in the advice of the experts that we need to do our very best to make them feel uncomfortable, to make them avoid humans. And because it doesn't seem like we're gonna be without coyotes in the long term. So I know it stinks. It stinks. I know it's horrible, but this is the reality that we have to deal with. And I think we need to
And
do it
senior
together.
citizens can't even go out of their house.
I know.
They can't carry all that gear. What are they going to do? It's not right. Again, it's not right. So, okay, I'm done. There's nothing else I can say. I think it's like a losing battle, right? Even though we have so many people that want them gone. And even though Dave Waddle says we can get rid of them, we can dispose of them, I don't know what else I can say here, except people are upset. It's not just me.
I think I share the feeling that it feels like a losing battle,
It is a losing battle.
so
Absolutely.
we're trying to find ways to change our options so that we can change our situation. We're trying to work through everything that's in front of us.
Yeah, I know. And while we're working at it, let's pray that not too many others get taken. I mean, I put my dog out the other day. I was 3 feet away from him at night so he could pee, and there was a coyote 3 feet away. 3 feet away. Thank God, within that second, I saw him and I screamed at him, because in another second, my dog would have been gone. And I've heard that from so many other people.
Yeah, no, I know. All right, Linda.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Yep, okay. Thank you, Linda. And hey, I'm
Thank you.
definitely not arguing with you, Linda. I know your passion. I know your fear, you're fearing the coyotes. I'm with you. I understand it, and we're working hard on it.
I hope so.
Hey, and I might not live in Nahant, but you can ask my wife. I spend more time on that island than anywhere else.
Yeah, but your kids aren't here, Tony.
Yeah,
And that's what
well,
would scare you.
I'm-
That's what would scare you. And your kids are beautiful. And they're not here.
Thank you. Okay, so Anna. Again, and Anna, if you can just announce your name and
Hi.
address.
Hi, yes, my name's Anna Cox. I live at 57 Breezy Hill Terrace, and I had my cat killed by a coyote 2 years ago. So I looked at your website. I'm happy about that. I wish it had been done 2 years ago, but whatever. I'm watching the Dave video. I'm at 33 minutes in, so I am doing my part. I got my whistle and my air horn. I'm just curious if these coyote lovers on the island are feeding them, because I'm curious about that. And is that illegal? And can we turn them in if we suspect that?
Absolutely. So you can either call, the town hall, the police station, and then the animal control officer will reach out to you, or you can email the animal control officer, and he will reach out to you too. So his email is, it's on the website, on
Yes,
the Coyote page.
yes.
But yeah, no, you should not be feeding coyotes. Absolutely. You should not be feeding them. And if you suspect that somebody is, please report it. And
Okay, I will.
we'll follow up with them.
Thank you. I appreciate your efforts. And I really like the signs near, oh, by the way, in case anyone doesn't know, the coyotes always take their dead animals over to, I call it Gardner Bunker Hill. That's where I found my dead cat 2 days after. Anyway, so I call it the killing field, but that's where I look for carcasses. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Scott?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I have no camera on this monitor at home. It's a graphics computer.
Can you say your name and address, Scott?
My name is Scott Holmes. I live at 73 Wharf Street, right near one of the hot spots. And it's just as far as reporting things and following up. It was over 3 years ago when they just started showing up in town that I was stalked and almost bitten in my backyard. The only thing that kept me from it was, and I tried to haze it. It just would not back off. And I had a heavy duty steel yard rake, and I basically pushed it and hit it a couple times until it took off. Called the police immediately, and the response was, "Were you bit?" And I said, "No, I stopped it." And they said, "Well, unless you're bit, there's nothing we can do." And it's a matter of record, and I'm sure they recorded it and everything, and there was no follow-up. And they said, "Well, we'll send a cruiser down and look around." But I mean, if you know where the property is here, we're right near the end of Watson Street, and half the lot is woods right next to the Audubon Trail. And Linda touched on a bunch of the things that I was going to mention as far as identifying the right coyote. We have a pack of 7 or 8 in the neighborhood that goes through 2-3 times a day, kills things on the corner of Watson, and it sounds like a pack of hyenas. And it's frightening. My girlfriend, who grew up in this house and has lived here 50 years, has called me from the driveway, and with 3 or 4 coyotes around it, and she was beeping the horn. They would not back off, and I had to go out and scare them off. She was afraid to get out of the car, and this was in the winter, late at night, and when she came home from work late. And it's just, things are escalating around here faster than I think people realize. They are not afraid of us. I was proactive over a year ago, and I believe that the library had an expert from Project Coyote from New Hampshire on a Zoom thing. I invited him down, and he came down to the property for the afternoon, and during the week that the healing wall was up. And he hadn't realized the graphic uniqueness of the town and the fact that we are basically an island with a bottleneck in or out. And he says, well, hazing only works for a little while. That's only if they got someplace to go. He basically said, and excuse my language, you're screwed. And it's just, there's just so many of them. I mean, if they can be, I know you can't go around just shooting them, but if they could be trapped in like a bare barrel trap and a few euthanized and bring the population down, go after the females and do that, something, anything, because we're feeling really outnumbered. I can't go out my yard without something in my hand. My nephews, I won't come here anymore. They're like 5 and 6 because their parents are afraid to be here. And let's see, my neighbor next door had a coyote trying to figure out how to get through the screen door because they had it locked and the storm door opened with some air and the cat was inside. I've had 2 screen doors that were compromised and I didn't really know what it was. Something trying to get in because I had 2 cats at the time. Now we're down to 1, natural causes. But it's just, I feel like I have to make a fortress here. I feel like, people can't go anywhere. I know that, if one came at me, that I would survive it, but part of me feels bad that I didn't get bitten because maybe it would have been addressed right away and something would have been done about it. And also, I'd like to bring up the fact that the people who have been here a lot longer than I have told me that there was a problem before, and it was addressed by the animal control officer, especially after the coyote killed off the deer in town. People were very upset about that, and it's like if it's enough to call them for deer, then why not for people's safety? It's just somebody's going to get hurt, and I just don't want it to get that bad. And there's got to be something to at least reduce the population. I know it's frustrating, and I think maybe some people are frustrated because, like myself, we've been doing the research and getting into this for a few years, and everything's coming to you guys all at once, and it's like you have to look and see what the resources are and everything. But it's just, it's tough over here at Ground Zero, and again, for someone to report to the police after their pet was just picked up and shaken, their bones broken, and they're trying to get to the vet and identify the right coyote. It's not a practical request upon the public, and we just want some help. That's all. That's all. I know it's tough. We're frustrated. You're frustrated, and I appreciate your time and letting us speak.
Yep. Thanks for sharing that, Scott. So you had a couple things in there. First of all, apologize for, the encounter that you experienced and that you are still experiencing. Second of all, the comments that you got from the police department are, I haven't heard the phone call. They're half correct, but I will say that we have come a long way from last year.
Yep.
We've learned so much more about this issue, and we are educating our police department about it too. They're going through a learning process as well. So up until this like a couple months ago, the town had never experienced an on-leash attack or a human attack. I didn't know about yours. So, until you get to according to the Mass Wildlife regs, it's not considered a problem. A lot of the issues we were dealing with a year ago were fear and frustration about pets being taken that were off leash in a backyard. And when we talked to Mass Wildlife, they came back to us and said, that's normal coyote behavior. That is not a problem animal. If that pet is on a leash and in the direct control of a human, and the coyote doesn't show any fear for the human, that's a problem. And up until, a few months ago, we never experienced that in Nahant, or the town was never reported anything like that. So that's why I say it's half right. Like up until that point, Mass Wildlife was telling us there's nothing we can do, right? So,
but if they're trying to get in,
I think we've come a long way, and I think that we're educating our police officers on what we can and can't do and how to properly respond. It's not the other part of the reg is it talks about an immediate threat. So that's why we're stressing the immediate call or the immediate report. I understand your point and what Linda was mentioning. It's obviously a tough situation to call the cops when you're going through that traumatic experience.
Or when there's 7 of them and they all look the same. Sorry.
Right. No, right, exactly. What was there was another comment that you had made. Oh, so I think you had talked about a different type of trap. This is what I'm going to be discussing with with our state legislators. The only traps that are available to us now, because of the 1996 referendum vote, is a box cage trap that is ineffective, and has the negative effects of needing to bait the area and lure the coyote in. So you end up kind of doing the opposite thing that Mass Wildlife suggests, is don't feed coyotes. They will become habituated if you do that. So there's
They can also bait with pheromones, and that eliminates the food issue. There's a lot more options out there than I think people realize. And I just want to say, I was not saying the police were negligent anyway. They had no idea it was a new situation for them as well. And I just want to say that, yeah, I was not demeaning the local police in any way, shape, or form. I love the guys.
Oh yeah, no. Yep. I've heard that before though. I've heard that from other residents saying, when I call, the response I get is there's nothing we can do. Well, that was the response we were getting up until recently when dogs on leash were attacked. That was a changing factor, but again, so back to the traps, there are other states that, in a situation like ours, when you have a problem animal in an urban area, that you only like a PAC, a problem animal control officer, would be authorized to use these illegal traps that are humane to solve a problem animal situation. And that's not currently allowed in Massachusetts, and I don't know if we'll get any traction on it, but that's kind of what we're going to try to push for, because we need some other options. We need some options that are actually going to produce, solutions for us.
Yeah, I was thinking even if they just did like one of the barrel traps, and even chemically sterilize a few or something, just to get the population down, manageable. Because like I said, and like Linda said, I haven't seen a skunk, possum, or raccoon in town in 3 years. And somebody posted a picture online of 2 raccoons, and it's like a Bigfoot sighting in town now because they're just not around anymore. And it's sad. I mean, it's like if they start going after the nesting birds and stuff up on East Point or something, eating their eggs, then maybe there'll be more of an uproar. But it's just people that don't deal with this every day in town have to realize just because it's not your problem, it is still a problem. And don't just tell us to quote shut up and live with it. They're not going anywhere, which is what some people on social media have done. And we're just looking for some sort of solution. I hate to see anything come to harm at all, but I just don't want to get to that point that someone gets attacked like this happened in nearby Swampscott and Marblehead. And that was in a parking lot. The guy was just leaning against his car and he got bit. And
yeah, I think there was a situation about feeding in that area too.
Yeah. And we've done everything around here. I know myself and all my neighbors, we use those birds to use the bitterant that animals won't like. Trash is put away. There's nothing left out for them. And they don't seem to be fast enough to catch the rabbits because my yard is full of rabbits and they hide in the quince bush. And I think the foxes used to get them, but the foxes are no more too. So it's like we've got a big imbalance in wildlife here in town. And it's scary at night just to hear a pack of them screaming like just 3 feet from your back deck. And it happens day or night, 3 in the morning, everything. And I hear air horns going off late at night, and people go out with our coyote walking stick. So we go down to make sure with the air horn went off, somebody's okay. And it's just weird. It's just really, really weird. And because this place is so quiet and so nice, and all of a sudden you just feel like you're on an island. No pun intended. But again, thank you again. And I'm done.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that, Scott. And we'll keep working on it.
All right, thank you.
Is there anyone else on the call that wants to discuss coyotes? All right, I don't have anyone else in the chat. No one else in the chat, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we'll move along, and thanks to everybody out there that's taken the time to give us their viewpoints on this. I'm sure that anything we can do to make this better, any suggestions will be more than welcome. So, and that's to myself, or I'm sure to Josh or Mark or Tony. Anything you can do to find a way for us to hopefully resolve this at some point. Moving on to preserving East Point. Josh, you want anything?
Unmute. I don't have anything new to report.
Okay, town administrators report. I don't think we have anything in there, do we, Tony?
No, really the last couple weeks has been super focused on the coyote issue, getting the trash rates ready to go. Brendan leaving, our treasurer collector taking on another job. There's a lot of it's going to be a long process. That transition it's in a very important role. So getting prepared for that, trying to find some interim services and post the job description so we can get through the hiring process. That's going to be a big focus. And sprinkled in there, communications with our coastal engineer and project manager on submitting a grant application for the Short Beach Dune hazard mitigation grant. That we've been working on that a lot as well. And then today I had my second meeting with MAPC on the housing production plan. So they're sending me a scope that I'll probably sit down with. I think Mark was designated, the housing topic out of the 3 selectmen. So I'm going to sit down with Mark and go through that. And, that's going to be a long process, a very robust public process. So a lot of work to be done there. And I'll just lastly, an update on the sewer project. We went after our last meeting, we went out to the Linway and watched one of the last pulls of the new pipe through our old pipe. And it was a great night. Got to talk with the engineers and the contractors and get a good experience there about the process that they're going through on that project. So all of the polls are completed at this time. We have next is to do some open cut dig and replace sections of pipe, and also to install our air release valves and manholes, clean out valves in between all those sections that we pulled the pipe through. And hopefully by the end of this month, we'll be compression testing the new pipe. And by the end of August, switching over to the new pipe and removing the bypass. So we certainly behind schedule. Having to switch over to night work definitely caused a lot of delays, but we are extremely satisfied with Gioso, the general contractor, and Wright Pierce, the engineering firm, with the work product. So that's everything I have. Do you have any questions about that or anything else?
No, I think we've all got a good understanding of the workload, so,
Oh, I've also been meeting with department heads one-on-one as part of the goals that you set forth for
Yeah.
me. So I've been meeting with all the department heads one-on-one, establishing their fiscal year goals. We will meet sometime at the end or of this calendar year, the start of the next, as a progress meeting, and then a final, evaluation at the end of the fiscal year.
great, excellent. Hey, is Dan on the line?
Yeah,
Yes.
sure am.
Hey, Dan, I just wanted to ask, I talked to Tony about it and I've been asked since again because the meeting was coming up. Is there any progress on 9 Little Nahant Road?
Yeah, we had a buyer back out. The second buyer backed out about 2 weeks ago. We just this afternoon had another buyer interested and offered something that was very, very small number, but that's pretty fresh. That we really haven't responded to that yet. At the same time, on the heels of that, HUD's attorney received an email from someone that might be interested in buying it as well. So that's a whole different party. She followed up with them. I have not heard from her yet today. I'll probably talk to her tomorrow. But nothing definitive has occurred, but we had a few things fall through, unfortunately.
So we're still in progress.
Yes.
Right, thank you.
That.
Josh?
I don't have anything else.
Citizens Forum. Tony?
Anyone on the call want to unmute, announce your name and address?
Mark Cullinane.
I just got back,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, so I'm sorry for missing most of the meeting, but I had a prior engagement. So it sounds like things.
Just gonna say, where's Waldo? Okay, Mark, do you have anything you want to add to the meeting?
No, not at this point. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right. Nobody on there, Tony?
Nope.
Motion to adjourn?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Josh Ever, aye.
Mark
Gene-
Cullen and I.
Mark Cullen and I, Gene Canty, aye. Okay, guys.